Hey, it's me, GV, and welcome to our 250,000 YouTube subscribers celebration video. So weird to say that because I usually have like a intro prepared. Oh yeah. Well, if you're gonna come over here, you're gonna be shown. Yeah, she's beefy. She's beefy. I think all the weight I'm losing is rubbing off on Yen. Okay, I shouldn't say that. That's a little too mean. I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? She hates being held, as usual. We hit 250,000 subscribers a while ago. Thank you so much to everybody that, added towards that. If you're a subscriber, hopefully, if you're watching this. Either way, thank you so much. I decided to do just a laid-back Q&A video. I just wanted to do one. It's been a while since we've done a Q&A video. I know we've done bigger stuff in the past for smaller milestones, but it just felt right. So basically, I asked on Twitter and in a YouTube video and on Patreon, to ask questions that you'd like to see answered, and this, of course, will be answering those. This is going to be in no particular order, although I think I will front load a lot of the patrons' questions. I said we were definitely going to answer those because the patrons go above and beyond to support me and the YouTube channel and the streams. And so yeah, I just picked and chose. I didn't want this video to be too long. As everybody knows, I have a tendency to talk and talk and talk and talk, so I didn't want this to be super duper long. There are far more questions than I thought, so if I didn't get to your question, it's absolutely nothing personal. I just had to condense the list, otherwise we would be here for 2 hours and nobody would watch this video. So I think we will jump straight away into the questions. Let's do it. The first one is from Blaine, who is a patron, who asks, what are your top 15 games of all time? We're not going to talk about all 15 because that would take lots of mental gymnastics to figure out, and I think once you get past kind of like 7, it's like your list starts getting more muddled and muddled because it's hard to condense that, at least for me, into, a big 15 game list. So we'll do my top 5. And a lot of people know this already, but that's going to be at number 5, Final Fantasy IX, the best Final Fantasy. At number 4, it's going to be, this one always shifts around like to 3 and 4, but I'm going to say Dark Souls 1 / Dark Souls 3. I'm always kind of up in the air which one I like more. Dark Souls 1 because I know so much about it, and it's also super nostalgic. Dark Souls 3 because I think it just evolves, from Dark Souls 1, because there was definitely no Dark Souls 2 as far as I remember. And just, I don't know, it's like the top of its craft. So for 4, it's Dark Souls 1 and 3, just because I can't decide. For number 3, it's going to be The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I played that and completed it first before Ocarina, which is probably why I like it more, but I just love all the masks. It's so fun to collect them, except for the, Anji, I always forget the 2 names, the lover mask, that's a pain in the ass to get. And then number 2 is going to be Banjo-Tooie. Again, just like Majora's Mask, I played Banjo-Tooie before Kazooie. Most people like Kazooie more. I like Banjo-Tooie more. I've done everything in it so many times. Same thing with Banjo-Kazooie though. So close to my heart. And then finally is going to be Chrono Trigger, a classic JRPG made by the Final Fantasy Dream Team, art by Akira Toriyama, composed by Nobuo Uematsu. It's just like such a dynamite classic game. And for those that are like, why no Skyrim? I mean, Skyrim is more just like fun. I don't know, it's like easy to jump into and have fun with, and like there's so much to do, so it's just could last a long time and you just have a lot of hours put into it. Those other games that I mentioned are kind of more specific, like big games to me. I mean, honestly, Skyrim would probably be like 6 or 7, somewhere in there. I know people would expect me to put that as number 1 or 2, but no, man, those other games are just like more unique, like handcrafted experiences in my life. Next up, we have another question by a patron named Jessica, who asks, what is your favorite A Song of Ice and Fire house? And if you were a character in A Song of Ice and Fire, would you be a member of that family or a different one? Song of Ice and Fire is the book series that Game of Thrones is based on. I've read all the books, watched this show. It's my favorite show until they shit the bed near the end. And I thought about this question, and it's a really boring one, but it's going to be the Starks. I thought about all the major houses, the Targaryens, the Lannisters, the Baratheons, and I think I would honestly, if it was me in real life, like I would fit in along with the Starks the most. And if I was a member of that family, would I stick with them or a different one? Definitely I would be a member of the Starks. Yeah, I just think they would, I mean, obviously I wouldn't gel at all because they'd be like, who is this modern man in our family dynamic? But I like the Starks. You know, they're kind of like the closest thing to an honorable family. Of course, everyone's got their flaws. That's the nature of the books. But yeah, I don't think I would really gel well with any of the other families. So it would have to be the Starks just based on survivability and like-mindedness. Next up, we got a big ol' hypothetical from Blaine, again, who says, Desert Island Vana. If you were stranded on a desert island for the rest of your life and discovered a genie in a bottle who granted you the following wishes, what would you choose? TV movie franchise. I assume they mean like a box set to watch. Meal that you'd be able to eat as many times as you'd like, an alcoholic beverage that refills itself, one gaming franchise, one music artist's full album collection, one celebrity lady to live with, one pet to accompany you, or one plant or tree to grow. Well, obviously, the biggest thing I've thought about this is if you have something to eat, you know, and drink, you're gonna live, right? You should be fine, hopefully, unless you get a major medical issue. The biggest issue being stranded on a desert island would be socialization. Like, you'd go crazy, and I definitely would require socialization. It's something that I need in my life, so if I was on a desert island, it would have to happen. So I would have to go with a celebrity lady to live with, but considering I'm in a relationship with a woman I love very much, I'm going to finagle the question and say my girlfriend Mary. Answering with a celebrity lady to live with would be pretty uncouth in this situation. So we'll say the celebrity lady, meaning my girlfriend Mary. How about that? Vicious Lemurs, another patron, asks, are we pla? We are pla. Jenna, who is also a patron, asks, I would love to know your favorite part of being a streamer / YouTuber, either in the process of creating content or what you get out of it on a personal level. Great question. I'm going to give you a two-parter. The first part of the answer is personal freedom. I'm huge with that. I've always been huge with that. I think from a very young age, or at least high school, you know, when you're thinking about the workforce, what you're going to do, what you want to go for, I kind of figured that I was never going to cut it in a typical 9 to 5 or anything like that, just purely because I would be miserable. I knew super early on that I wanted to be some sort of entrepreneur, which is a easy word to throw around, but my mom and stepdad were very much, and even my dad, a lot of people in my family like kind of did their own thing, so I was influenced in that way, and I don't know, I'm very lucky because it just kind of led me to be able to break into this business and do this for a living. So personal freedom is huge. That is something that I take for granted. I think a lot of people in this gig do, and I try to remember that I'm very lucky. And the other thing is, you know, I've been hammering it home so often, and I hate to repeat myself even more. I mean, the people that have been paying attention know this, because I just never shut the hell up about it. But I like making people feel better, even if it's on a very small level. This wasn't a thing that I really realized that I wanted to strive for until last year, where I went through some pretty bad stuff mentally, and was just really getting down a lot of the time for various reasons. And part of the thing that kind of pulled me out of that was realizing that I can make a positive difference in someone's life, which is not why I got into this gig. I got into this gig to play video games and have fun, but it was just something that I realized, wow, I can actually make a bit of a difference. Again, I know I'm playing video games and talking. It's really almost, I could go volunteer at the homeless shelter or something if I wanted to make a bigger impact. But I'm just saying that there's a way that you could do this job and also brighten someone's day, even if it's a little tiny bit, and that makes me very, very, very happy, and it motivates the hell out of me these days. Okay, we got a 4-parter from the Morbid Curiosity Podcast, also a patron, who asks, what got you started on Twitch? Basically, I had a YouTube presence way back in the day. I forget what I was doing when I started Twitch, but either way, I just thought, hey, next logical step, let's make a Twitch and just figure that out and do a little bit of streams. It's literally as simple as that, and then it grew to be pretty much half my income at this point in time, which is insane to think about. Did you have any fears when you started, like people seeing you and being mean, or that no one would watch? I didn't. I had no, ironically, I have much more like anxieties and worries about streaming and YouTube these days than I did back then, probably because I was living in a very cheap apartment and all I needed to do was make dirt cheap rent, which was quite easy. No, I didn't have any fears. As far as I remember, I just remember it was crazy to me that people were coming over and watching live, and I was able to talk with them and have a good time. I've never been worried about showing my face on camera. I've done that like since the start of the channel. It's never been a thing I've been worried about. And as far as the viewers, like I said, I was just happy people were coming over. I didn't care how many viewers there were whatsoever. There were probably some worries or something, but I can't really remember them. None of them really stand out. How did you react when you were finally able to live off creating online content? I mean, it's one of those things where you don't even realize you're really doing it until you've already done it for a while. Basically, I was able to move cross country with my best friend at the time to, you know, live in an apartment with him, and that was the dirt cheap apartment. So honestly, I didn't have to make much money. We lived like about as dirt cheap as you possibly could at the time. So it was kind of easy to break into it because I was making, you know, like dirt nothing on YouTube, but still it was enough to pay for that. So that's just kind of built up as I've gotten better as a YouTuber and streamer. It's just built up to where I am now. So I don't know, it's the same thing. It's like I try to remember how lucky I am as much as possible because it's an easy thing to forget. It's an easy thing to take for granted. Do you have plans for getting any more pets? Not currently. Currently it's pretty expensive to take care of 2 cats. Kitty litter and kitty food are very expensive, as you will find out if you get into owning cats, anybody that's watching. I would love to have a dog in the future. I've always considered myself a dog person until I got these 2 and then realized, wow, I guess I'm kind of a cat person too. So no, I'm happy with the 3 rats currently, 3 female rats that we have, the 2 cats and our ball python. It's kind of perfect. But if I were to like just get a lot more income and I could like for sure afford like a dog, and if they got along with Greyjoy and Yen, then yeah, I would definitely consider getting a puppy. I think that would be awesome and give me an excuse to get out of the house and go take walks and stuff. Okay, now these are non-patron questions, mostly taken from the YouTube comment section for that video. Lucas asks, how far are you thinking to go on your legendary playthrough quest-wise? Basically, when I started the series, I wanted to just do the Dark Brotherhood and the main quest and try to beat that and then switch back over to Fallout New Vegas. A lot of more people watched the series than I originally thought. At the start of the playthrough, it kind of blew up a bit on my channel and I was like, whoa, okay. Well, that's giving me a lot of motivation to continue it longer. Currently, I don't know, I'm still just having fun. I do want to switch back to Fallout New Vegas, or at least record some soon, but the issue is that like I don't want to have these 2 series unfinished, and so like if I was just going to do the main quest for Grohlvana, it's gonna be too hard, I think. Like genuinely we're reaching a point now where it's getting really hard. Like things are ramping up and are very tricky to take down. So I am not sure. I'm just going with the flow, basically. I'm getting so many questions about this, and the answer is I'm just going with the flow. I'm going with what's fun for me and what I'm looking forward to recording and what people seem to want to watch. And we'll just see where it goes. I don't have a definite answer, unfortunately. Maddie G asks, do you plan on getting married in the future? By the way, I'm recording this really late. This week was insane, and it was very hard to get all of my work done this week, so if I'm talking kind of like low but trying to project, that's why. I don't know if anybody picked up on that other than myself. But Maddie G asked, do you plan on getting married in the future? I think so. When Mary and I first met and got into a relationship, we were both kind of on the fence. I was just like, you know, about marriage. We're sort of the mindset that it's like, well, if we love each other, do we have to get married and that whole thing. But now that we've been together for so long, I think, we've talked about it a bunch, and she definitely seems into it like, it seems like we've both been swayed into like, well, we've been together this long, we know each other. I would think it's safe to say we're the ones for each other. Yeah, it just seems like the next logical step. I think we'd have a small wedding. I'm definitely not into the pomp and circumstance and everything like that, and she's not like that either. So I think we would maybe even elope and get it done really quick, which my mom would probably hate me for. Although my mom ironically eloped, so she doesn't really have an excuse. But yeah, I think so. We're talking about it more than ever these days, and again, even though we're not like super into the idea of like feeling like we have to get married as the next step, I think we're both kind of wanting to at this point. Pope Racing asks, do you think you'd make a Starfield series when it comes out? I'll do you one better than that. I think when Starfield and of course subsequently the Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, if I'm still doing this whole thing full time, I think we'll just go ahead and do 100% from the get-go for both series, because Elder Scrolls the series, or Bethesda series are so easy to 100%. It's rare that you're going to be locked out of something, and it's just very easy. You just knock that stuff out of your journal, and it's a very fun 100%. That takes forever, obviously, but I could be the only guy doing it on YouTube, which is pretty neat. A lot of people tend to stay away just because it takes so long, obviously. So yes, as long as Starfield looks good and looks like an actual Bethesda game and not some bullshit like Fallout 76 or some multiplayer game or something like that, if it's like an actual Bethesda adventure title sort of thing, yes, I think we'll go ahead and do a full 100% like from the get-go, that sounds good to me. Warrior Dog Gaming asks, do you plan to maybe go back and play some old games like Fallout New Vegas or BioShock? Well, of course, we're doing a Fallout New Vegas series 100%. We've just taken a much bigger break from it than I originally thought. But yeah, I play older games all the time. If you guys and gals want to see me play other stuff, follow the Twitch. I'm playing all the stuff over there. And a lot of people here say like, oh, that series would be a great series here. The problem is everything I've ever done that's not related to kind of big Elder Scrolls Fallout type stuff or whatever usually doesn't do that well at all. So over on Twitch, I feel freeing. If Twitch feels freeing that I can play those games and people will actually come and watch. And if it's something I'm excited enough about, like BioShock, which I love, by the way, people will watch and enjoy. Whereas on YouTube, I'm always like, I could upload something here, but games not related to the stuff I usually do don't typically do well. That being said, I'm kind of on the fence more than ever to just say screw it, I don't care, and I'm just gonna do whatever I want moving forward, because I've been doing Elder Scrolls and Fallout for a long time now, and while I had felt a big thing to do New Vegas and Skyrim recently, which is why we're doing them, after those are done, I might just say screw it and turn this channel into a variety channel anyways. Honestly, I think I truly shine when I'm playing whatever I want to play. So yeah, come over to the Twitch channel. We're always doing older games. We're doing Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, which is from 2012. Like right now, it's kind of older. But yeah, we play everything over there. So check it out. And in the future of this channel, we might play everything too. Who knows? Watari Bread, we call him Watari, over on our stream, who's a mod for us, asks, what is the best part about being a YouTuber / streamer, and what is the worst? Congratulations on hitting 250K. Keep up the great work. Thank you. We kind of talked about what the best thing is earlier on, so I'll just talk about the worst thing. And for me currently, just blatantly being honest here, is worrying too much about how a series is doing, where my views are at, where the numbers are at. Last year, it was a big giant source of stress because it was more up in the air than ever. Since then, I've kind of reversed a lot of stuff, but I still try to never look at numbers, and I've talked to other people in this gig, and I've gotten different answers. A lot of people avoid it, but some people look at all the numbers, and I guess the worst part is just the anxiety that comes with this job of it's so up in the air. Like YouTube could go under tomorrow and nobody wants to watch it anymore, and then what the heck do I do? So just kind of the unsureness. And in the past I didn't have to worry, but I also had far less bills after, before moving to a house. So I would say the worst part is definitely the anxiety that comes with, worrying how a series is going to do, how a game's going to do, if I'm giving my best today, or if I should even record today or wait till I have more energy, yada yada yada. I'm trying to get better at handling that stress, because it's kind of a new element in my life to worry about that stuff, because for the longest time I never worried about it, and now it's been a bit more challenging ever since last year, although I seem to have a decent grip on it now. So hopefully I'll get even better with it. Marked101 asks, do you like horror movies? If so, which one scares you the most? I don't like horror movies, not at all pretty much. Since I was a kid, I was always not into like haunted houses and horror games and horror movies. Recently though, I've had kind of a newfound appreciation for them. My girlfriend and I recently watched Midsummer. A lot of people are probably gonna be like, that's not even a horror movie. To me, it's a horror movie, and to me, it was a fantastic movie. I thought it, regardless of it being a horror movie, I thought it was just a great movie. Same thing with Hereditary, who was by the same director, Ari Aster. Really enjoyed those. We're gonna watch The Witch probably today as you're watching this. I haven't seen that, I wanna see that. I like watching good movies, and some horror movies are really good movies, like all the ones I mentioned. The Lighthouse has horror elements in it. I like watching those, like movies that have a point as opposed to just like B slashers and stuff like that. That's not really my thing. But yeah, I like well done horror movies, and I thought Hereditary was great. I thought Midsummer was even better. I loved it. I watched it twice, like pretty close to each other. Amcow asks, current favorite game, also new to the channel, liking it so far. Welcome to the channel, Amcow. Whoa, cough came out of nowhere. Current favorite game is an interesting question. We're playing Fable 3 and Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning on Twitch. And Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning is fantastic, man. But I gotta play more of it to kind of get my full opinions on it. But I'm loving playing it. Fable 3 is good, but I think Kingdoms of Amalur beats it in kind of every single, avenue. On YouTube we're playing Skyrim, of course, but that's like an old mainstay. I wouldn't consider that like, current favorite. Same thing with New Vegas, but probably I would just say The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. I've been playing that majorly off camera and sinking so many hours into it. I've 100%ed the Lost, the Keeper, the hardest characters in the game, and just like, I don't know, I'm going to go for the full 100%, which if you know Isaac is very tricky, very hard, very luck based. So I would probably say, yeah, Isaac currently. That's what I'm kind of putting most of my off-camera time into. Okay, I just realized that we're like halfway, and I thought we were making much more progress than this, so we're gonna try to speed this up here now. The Ender Steve asks, would you ever bring back the Morningstar Podcast? I don't know, maybe focus less on one subject and just do some game news that interests you. Have an episode where you describe your take on what an Elder Scrolls 6 could look like and a cool story that it could have. Focus less on having to get a guest every episode, and I don't know, treat it as a long form sub Saturday. So in short, my question is, would you ever think to bring it back? I would love to. I don't think it would ever do that well. I think people hear me talk enough that like hearing me talk even more is just kind of like, oh boy, a little over GV-ness. I love talking though. That's kind of why we started it in the first place. It was really fun to do, and never say never, but at this point I'm literally like overworked, and I know overworked playing games, but trust me, it's harder than you think putting out so much content that I am currently, at least in this week. So anyways, I don't have time for any other projects. In fact, this video now, I'm trying to hammer out before it goes live, and I barely have time to do that. So not anytime soon, definitely, but who knows, in the future perhaps. Con John Silver, I think, asks, when do you honestly expect to see Elder Scrolls 6 come out, and do you think Bethesda can come back to their former glory? Sorry to everybody on my Twitch, because you've heard me talk about this nonstop, but so if Starfield has like a surprise release, which Bethesda loves doing this year, then I would say Elder Scrolls 6 might come out as early as 2022, perhaps 2023. If we don't see a surprise Starfield release this year, then I will say probably not until 2024, maybe pushed even to 2025. You gotta figure like Starfield, if it is gonna be a big old thing, just like their other stuff, they're gonna wanna put time into it and let it breathe and let people play it and market it and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I think. Do you think Bethesda can come back to their former glory? Absolutely. Hopefully they just hopefully they have a common sense and can just see all the stupid shit they've been doing and think, hey, we really need to kind of go back to what we've been doing and what people like, which is just a single player adventure game. What a novel concept. And hopefully they do that with Starfield, and even if Starfield's different, hopefully they learn their lesson with Elder Scrolls 6 and just make it Skyrim, but better. Ideally. I don't want it to be, I want them to take chances and do something different, but still, all they literally have to do is make Skyrim again, but with new quests and worlds and all, and a new world and all that sort of stuff. So definitely they can come back to their former glory, but they are super duper low on my ladder now, just because of all the crap they've been putting out. It's kind of gross, but they could definitely come back. It all depends if Starfield is supposed to be like a big, Elder Scrolls in space or something, and if they do that well, or if they try to cash out on it, or, if it's different, that's fine, but then when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, we'll see if they do it right. Nate Dogg 20 asks, what is your favorite quality about Mary? If we're talking physical, this is gonna sound cliche as hell, but her eyes are beautiful, and every time we're together, this is gonna, oh man, get ready to to vomit in your mouth. I just compliment her eyes, and I always say I'm gonna scoop them out when she's sleeping. It sounds morbid and it sounds macabre, but trust me, it makes her laugh. I promise. If we're talking in terms of personality, she is the nicest, most genuinely caring person I've ever known. It's kind of, it's so easy for her to be a nice, caring person and think of others, where for me it's more of a challenge because I have some bad habits made in high school of kind of being pretty self-centered. So I always look up to her for that, and she definitely motivates me to be better with that. So there you go. Alia P asks, do you ever have to deal with trolls or rude people in your Twitch chat or comments? Have you ever had to block anyone? This place seems like such a nice and positive little corner of the internet, and it's nice to have it. I appreciate that. Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody does. Even if you're the most wholesome, nice person ever, you're still gonna get a troll every now and then. It just happens. The only people I block on YouTube are people that actively insult me. You can give me as much criticism as you want, but the moment you insult me, it's okay, I'm not gonna get anything from you that's worth hearing about because you're just wanting to throw insults, which is not necessary. And also people that just talk about the views. I try my best to not worry about that stuff and just try to have fun and make people happy. So people that just refuse to stop talking about it, it's okay, well, you're kind of just, just trying to get under my skin, I guess. On Twitch, we barely have any trolls. I like to think if a troll does come in, we kind of just, I'll usually be okay, that's great. So do you want to not be edgy and just hang out now? Because I can tell what someone's doing immediately. I've seen every type of commenter ever on Twitch. So I would say in terms of the internet, YouTube and Twitch, I don't really have too many problems. Maybe the mods get to them before I even see it. I'm sure that happens sometimes, but no, I try to be a real person, a genuine person, and I think people respond to that with respect. And I think if somebody does come in to try to be a mean person, I think we're pretty good at kind of making them ask do you really want to be this type of person? It's just kind of, you're just kind of being rude, and that's really what it comes down to. So yes, I'm very proud that we don't really have too many issues with trolls. Potato Skunk asks, if you could design your own game and budget wasn't a problem, what would it look like? Off the top of my head, literally, I mean, Dark Souls is the most fun I ever have because you jump in, there's no overt dialogue and cutscenes. You can listen to the item or listen to the dialogue if you want, or read the item descriptions and be immersed in the great lore if you want. And if you don't want it, you can just jump in and do your thing. I really love that style of game. It's kind of what I look for these days because it's just so fun to just run in there and fight crazy bosses. So probably something like that with as beautiful as landscapes as Dark Souls 3. But maybe a neon, cyberpunk, kind of take it in a different direction from the medieval style of Dark Souls and the dark style, and just brighten it up with super bright colors and vistas, but also have crazy bosses and movesets and everything. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Maria asks, what YouTubers do you watch generally? Been watching a lot of Red Letter Media lately. That's pretty much all I've been watching on YouTube. Just going through their entire catalog. Bunch of, film dudes talking about film. Metal Jesus Rocks is a collector of retro games that I like a lot. In fact, let me pull up YouTube and just see real quick. Why don't we? Oh, I'm on the wrong YouTube channel. Gosh darn it. Video Game Donkey I think is hilarious. Oni Plays I was watching a lot for a while. Binging with Babish, everybody loves him. There's a lot that I unfortunately can't. Maybe I can. Maybe if I go to youtube.com, I can like log in onto my other account and see who I'm subscribed to, because I have not been watching a lot of YouTube lately outside of Red Letter Media. I usually, you know, go from thing to thing to thing. We've got yourmoviesucks.org. I like his channel a lot. GDQ, love watching the speedrun uploads. Lily Alive, who we shouted out, we're going to shout out in the upcoming Skyrim episodes. Sick Animation, if anybody knows what that is. I love his animations. Alt-Shift-X does great Game of Thrones kind of breakdowns, but that's kind of over for obvious reasons. Cinemassacre every now and then. Foo Fighters official channel. JonTron Show, huge fan of JonTron. Lindsay Ellis does kind of like video essays on film. I guess I'm like kind of a filmy, huh? I watch so many like film channels. Psychic Pebbles, huge fan. ProZD, huge fan. Nintendo, Sleepy Cabin, Trump, who does a bunch of, not President Trump, but he does a bunch of Hearthstone stuff. And George from Zero Period Productions. Those are examples of all the YouTube channels I watch. Fuzzy Womp asks, what do you think is your biggest mistake in your YouTube career and why? I don't think there's one like giant mistake, you know, that I regret for all time or anything like that, but I would say probably not taking it as seriously when I had some momentum with the first Adronach YouTube, or the first Adronach Skyrim 100% series. Like, we had so much more momentum than I even realized at the time. And if I like knew more what I was doing and took it more professionally, I probably could have like used that as a catalyst to really grow. But to be honest, like, you know, growth and money and whatever has never really been my main concern. I've said many times, as long as I can pay my bills, I'm good to go. If this house right here was paid off now, I'd be happy, you know? And, you know, I just have to make enough money for groceries and cat food and going out with my girlfriend and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that would be my biggest mistake, but I don't really view it like that. I just view it like, well, we probably could have really launched up there. I probably could have, you know, turned this channel into a 500,000 or even higher channel if I like continued and took it more seriously. So yeah, I was just young and I just didn't know the opportunity that I had, but it all worked out anyways. And trust me, I don't need oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles of money or oodles and oodles and oodles of subscribers. If I'm having fun and if I'm making people happier, I'm good. Jordy asks, hey GV, I'm always finding it hard to finish a game I start to play. I just lose interest, but after some time feel like playing it again, which I don't do, knowing I'll just not finish it again. My question is, how do you manage to stick to finishing one game in its entirety? It's easy for YouTube and Twitch, because if you don't finish stuff, people are gonna know you're not gonna finish stuff, and then they're not gonna watch you. So it's like, well, I kinda have to finish a series if I'm going to start it, otherwise, you know, there's people aren't gonna watch. And here's where everybody says, what about New Vegas? We're gonna get back to it. It's not gonna be done forever. Trust me, I'm just liking playing Skyrim. Let me have fun, please. Anyways, but we're gonna get back to it. I want to get back to it, trust me. In terms of off camera, I'm a completionist by nature. I mean, that's why I like 100%ing things. If I finish something and if I'm having fun, I'm gonna finish it just because I want to get all achievements or whatever. And I like grinding to like podcasts and music and just doing something, and you know, even if it takes a crazy amount of time. I've done so many like ridiculous things for achievements you have no idea, like the Rock Band 2 endless set lists. Like, you have to play everything, 8.5 hours of songs without ever pausing, without ever failing. The Iron Bladder Award. Like, I'll just do it. So for me, it's easy. I just finish stuff because I want to finish stuff. Sometimes if I start something, I'm like, I'm not going to want to finish this, and I'll stop, and then I'll come back, and then I'll like restart it and usually finish it. But that's rare. Usually I'll finish something if I start it. So as for you, I don't know. You got to just do what you want to do. If you're not having fun, don't do it. Just switch to something else. It's, you know, no problem. There's 18 gajillion games out there. Trezington and every single other person asks, you know, someone was going to ask what's going on with New Vegas. So yeah, I've talked about it a bunch. Basically, it just comes down to everything I've said before. Skyrim's doing so much better than I ever thought it would. And it's also really fun to try and beat it on Legendary, so it's just been what I look forward to recording. I'm going to come back to New Vegas at some point. I'm just waiting for the right time. It comes down to, you know, I gotta do it when I want to have fun, because having fun makes effortless videos, and people, you know, hopefully hopefully we'll enjoy them even more. So it's gonna come back hopefully soon, probably, I've said soon a lot recently, but much sooner now than ever before, because yeah, I want to get up to at least like 100, because we're so close. It was like 87 or 88. So yeah, it's gonna come back soon. Just stay tuned. Enjoy the Skyrim in the meantime, but it'll be back, trust me. And I figured we end on this one, because it's a little poignant, I guess. Nanania15 asks, where does the name Grohlvana come from, and if you lived in Skyrim, in which hold and or town or city would you pick? Take care. No, you take care. So we'll answer the Skyrim one first. The cool answer would be Markarth, because it looks so cool and it's so unique. But people, there's a big conspiracy there. I don't know if you know, and like cannibals and bad stuff and Forsworn. And it's probably very metallic tasting because of all the Dwemer ruins. So I would say Whiterun. I just think living there would honestly add to my happiness the most. It's such a pretty looking town, very open and nice. I don't know, Whiterun, I think, just purely out of wanting to be happy and living in a happy place, and I don't know, just walking outside and going, ah. And where does the name Grohlvana come from? So Dave Grohl was the drummer for Nirvana and is the frontman for the Foo Fighters. And he is a really well-liked dude. The sort of well-liked dude that, like, if it ever came out that he was, I don't know, did some bad stuff, it would kind of be devastating. So knock on wood. I hope that never happens. But anyways, no, Dave Grohl seems like such an awesome guy. I was a big fan of Foo Fighters in high school, and I think when Battlefield 2 came out, or Bad Company 2, one of those two, I changed my gamer tag to it, and the rest is history. So it's Dave Grohl plus Nirvana, because he was the drummer, equals Grohlvana. But I'm not that big of a fan of Nirvana, which is a common misconception. I actually like, you know, Foo Fighters much more, but Foo Grohl Foo sounds stupid, so Grohlvana. It's one of those high school gamer tags that stuck with me. Okay, so if I didn't answer your question, nothing personal. You saw how long that took to answer. A long time to go through those. I was honestly gonna do more. I was like, we could do more, but I'm glad we did that much, because yeah, I'm very quickly running out of time here. But thank you so much for submitting questions. Thank you so much if you're a patron. Hope you enjoyed the answers, and thank you for supporting me on Patreon. And if you got your question answered, I hope you enjoyed the answer as well. And yeah, if I didn't answer it, I'm sorry. There's just too many, man. There's like 1 billion. We can't be here for 2 hours. No one's gonna watch it. There's gonna be like 3 people that get to the end of the video. But that was a fun video to make, and obviously thank you so much for adding to the 250,000 subscriber number. We're a Let's Play channel, you know, growth is kind of sure but steady. It grows very slowly. I could do more, of course, if I wanted to grow at a bigger rate, but trust me, man, I'm 27 now. I've been doing this for a long time. I realize more than ever, it's again, having fun with whatever I'm doing and feeling like I'm making a positive difference at all is what mainly I get out of this gig these days. So, you know, here's to many more subs, but it's just have fun with the channel, because that's really what I'm here for, just having fun. And yeah, thank you so much for watching my channel, even for a spare second. You know, yada yada yada, big crazy cliche sentimental thank you sort of thing. But I do appreciate it. I do appreciate you watching, and I will see you all tomorrow for an actual Binding of Isaac bonus video. We had another crazy run, and then Monday for more Skyrim. And yeah, keep an eye out for New Vegas. It's gonna come out soon. I genuinely like really want to start recording it again. I have to like freaking read a book on where I was and how not to mess this up. I mean, that's part of what's like stopping me from getting back into it, is like Fallout New Vegas is really tricky to record because of all the quests that go against each other. But keep an eye out for it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all then. Bye bye.